Welcome to Messy Liberation, the podcast that dives deep into feminism, business, and personal growth. I'm Becky Mollenkamp.
And I'm Taina Brown. Get ready for another messy conversation through the eyes of two intersectional feminist coaches.
Let's get messy.
Hi.
Hello.
If anyone's watching instead of listening, turn it off and go listen.
Just walk away.
Or just hide the video and just listen. I look like crap today, but that's because I'm exceptionally tired. And I just was like, you know what? I don't even have the energy to go sit at my desk. I'm going to just stay where I am. I was just watching Real Housewives of Atlanta. And
Gosh.
yeah, well, it's fun. And doing a little bit of admin work, but just I'm so tired. And I think part of it's the weather here because it is really rainy for several days in a row. And I do love that, but it makes me cozy and want to be sleepy. And they're doing school, the big annual testing at my kid's school that they do in 4th grade. And he was feeling stressed about it. So he has slept with us the last couple nights, which also means I don't get a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
But, these are the things we do as parents.
When is the testing over?
Tomorrow. They have 3 days.
Okay.
Today's the second day. I felt good about it, but anyway. Just, it's like life is doing all the things life does.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm feeling better today. I know we met yesterday for something else, but yeah, I had a flare up over the weekend and was just in a lot of pain for like days on end. But I'm feeling better today, so finally kind of settled. Yeah. I'm just also tired because I can't sleep when you're in pain.
Yeah. I don't know what you do when you can't sleep. Like last night,
Yeah.
a part of me was I couldn't get up because then I would have woken my kid up and the whole thing. But there was a moment I was like, why am I even laying here pretending I'm not
Yeah.
sleeping? I could be up doing something because I have
Yeah.
energy right now. And I knew today I wasn't.
Yeah.
So there is that part of you that's like, I should just get up and do something, but that's not great for sleeping habits and patterns.
Yeah.
So I didn't, and also because of my kid. But yeah, you're just like, ugh, I know sleep issues are really underrated as far.
They are.
I mean, it is really challenging when you don't sleep well, and perimenopause is a definite time of not sleeping well.
Yeah. It's very disruptive.
Yeah.
It just kind of throws everything out of whack.
Yeah. And then it's hard to get motivated to do other things that you need to do, or like what I've been lately, I'm just like, all I can manage right now, this week so far anyway, has been like, what are just admin, like the super easy wins? What are little things I can do so I can feel like I can check them off, but they don't require a whole lot of energy. And I'm running out of those. And so now it's tough.
So maybe you just rest for a little bit.
Yeah, I know, except, and all the internal stuff around how that feels. And I do also have some obligations this afternoon, book promotion stuff, which I guess all of that is also only self-determined or self-created deadlines, but they feel real and they involve other people.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Have you seen any of the Met Gala looks?
I mean, here's what I think about the Met Gala and what I posted on Threads. And I know by the time people are listening to this, the Met Gala will be pretty old. To me, it is, and it's always felt this way. I'm not a fashion person, so that's part of it. I do appreciate fashion as art, so I will say that. And the watching billionaires host millionaires and all of the like flaunting of high expense fashion and whatnot and all the pomp and circumstance just feels so tone deaf to me to what is the lives of most people right now and the continuing astronomical gap and wealth disparity.
Yeah.
Not to mention gas prices getting near $5.
Yeah.
People's everyday life. Well, worker pay isn't going up at all. Like
Yeah.
healthcare costs. I don't know. I just every time I'm like the audacity that it takes to show up there and say, "Yep, it has such a let them eat cake" sort of vibe to me that it's hard for me to appreciate the looks because that's all I can think when I see it.
Yeah.
The look I thought was the best look was the guy who was there protesting, who is the person who, is pretty famous for leading movements to get Amazon workers unionized. And he was arrested right out front as he came to protest. And I was like, that's the look right there. Because like Sarah Paulson, who I think is a great actress and stuff, but showing up and putting a dollar bill on your face as if to say you're there like protesting while wearing a very expensive designer gown and hobnobbing with Jeff Bezos, to me that falls pretty flat and feels pretty fucking
Yeah.
performative. And so whatever, the looks were the looks. I felt like Beyonce normally doesn't mess up, and I didn't think it was a great look. I thought her daughter showed her up. But, on the whole, I was like, there was one guy who dressed up as a very important queer piece of art. That was cool. Like, there were some things that were kind of cool and fit with the mission, but as far as I'm concerned, the whole event shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
I've only seen a few things here and there on social media. I haven't really done a dive into, like, initiated my own search to look at some of the stuff. I do like the fashion aspect of it, and I do like this. I do like this year's theme. But I kind of feel the same. It's very tone deaf. And I'm not saying before someone takes what we're saying out of context, art is necessary at any time in life, but this is not art. This is,
Art to me should be subversive. It should be pushing against power.
yeah,
And that's not what this is. It was sucking the dick of power. I mean, the people hosting the
Yeah.
event were Jeff Bezos and his wife lady. I mean, if Jeff Bezos is the person who is hosting it, the only way, and Sarah Paulson's being subversive wasn't it. But
yeah,
there are ways I think that you could have been subversive.
yeah,
There were alternative events happening around it to challenge this idea, to challenge most especially. And I think the part that this event happens all the time, every year. I've always thought that it's kind of gross. But when you have Jeff Bezos being the person who is at the
yeah,
helm of
yeah.
the thing, it really changes it even more.
It's like
So
digging your heels into,
right. So if ever there was a year to protest, it's this year. And there were plenty of protests happening and alternative sort of fashion shows happening around. And there were some cool fashions there. I saw somebody wearing basically a flak jacket with a gown. And when you ripped it off, it says gun violence is killing our children.
mm-hmm,
I saw some sorts of things like that were pretty cool.
mm-hmm,
But those are the things happening outside of it in form of protest.
yeah,
That was the art. The art was the people who were saying, this isn't okay. We're pushing back. I just saw an interview with Zach Galifianakis, who, yeah, he's been in the Hangover movies, but he did the Between Two Ferns YouTube
yeah,
video series, which always makes me laugh. So if you've never seen those, watch them. And he was talking about all these comedians, Joe Rogan, he's calling out Theo Von, he's calling out some of these bro dudes who claim to be comedians who had Trump on their show. And we're saying well, we're going to have whoever on, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, that isn't what the role of the comedian is. That's not the court jester's role. The
yeah,
jester's role is not to suck the dick of the leader. It is to make fun of
yeah,
the
yeah,
right? To push that, to challenge that. And he's and seeing these people having him on, and he's and I know what's involved with that. Their PR people are telling you the things you can and can't ask, and you're
yeah,
agreeing to those terms and not asking him those things. He's it's not like they were on and challenging them, right? Challenging Trump. They had him on and were basically worshiping him. And he's
yeah, yeah,
not comedy. And he was when Hillary Clinton was going to come on Between Two Ferns, her people told me I can't ask her about the emails. And I said, well, then thank you. And I understand that, but I don't want her on the show.
yeah,
And he said, it's amazing how quickly when you push against power, power will crumble, because they very quickly came back and said, it's fine. You can ask her about the emails.
mm-hmm,
He needed that attention, right?
yeah,
People forget that it's a two-way street. Those people need
yeah,
you. You
yeah,
don't just need them. And when we lose sight of that, that's a problem. Anyway, and I just thought that was so telling, because to me, that, again, comedy is also art. Fashion is art. And the whole point of art is to challenge. If it's not, I
mm-hmm.
don't think it's art, right?
No, it's not.
Yeah, if you look at some of the best art in history, it was about challenging kings, challenging wealth, challenging power. And that isn't what the Met Gala is. And that's too bad, because I think
Mhm.
that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. And even when it's when art is not necessarily challenging a specific, a king, or someone in power, it's challenging something, right? I think about when the Impressionists first started painting in that style. I remember listening to this audiobook on color. Very boring subject. The narrator was also just very dry. It was just this British guy lovely person, I'm sure, lovely accent, but just so dry. It goes through every chapter is a different color on like the rainbow spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And when it got to like blue, a big chunk of the chapter was about the Impressionists and their liberal use of blue, and how at the time, not just the style, but the use of that color was seen as like really extravagant and like overindulgent and just kind of like not the status quo. But they continued like in that style. They continued to like create with that color when they first started like putting out that kind of work. Like you could only see it in like art adjacent spaces because it wasn't received as like quote unquote art, right? Because it was so challenging to like the style that had been popular for so long. So like even if it's not challenging like a king or a president, like it's challenging the status quo, right? It's challenging norms. It's challenging what people consider to be common sense or what they take for granted, the things that they don't normally question. And it's supposed to open up pathways for people to think differently, to like experience the world differently and to have a different perspective. And things like the Met Gala, while yeah, it can be entertaining and we can look at the fashion and be like, oh, that was a beautiful gown or this person's, costume, right? Because that's what it is. It's all costumes, right? It's a ball and it's all costumes, hit the mark or this person, like I saw someone post a picture of Connor Story, the guy who plays the Russian in Heated Rivalry, and their comment was like, I too love a TJ Maxx find. He looked like business, like a woman wearing business casual, but and not that there's anything wrong with that, but anyway, just sidetrack. But we can laugh at things like that, right, and be entertained by it. But at the end of the day, like it's not really challenging anything. It's not challenging any long-held beliefs or perceptions or any kind of status quo. And so there are ways for it to be subversive. Like there have been examples of people showing up in more subversive ways.
And I think there were this year as well. I mean, again, there was somebody I don't know, but he's a Welsh gay actor who, again, dressed up as someone pretty famous in the world of queer art. Amy Sherald, who is an artist who paints Black folks in like very realistic ways
Yeah.
and was on the cover of the New Yorker. And I think she may have done Michelle Obama's portrait. And
Yeah.
like she's amazing, and she dressed up as her own the New Yorker cover. Like she wore that, and that is to me what this is. That's a moment of, hey, I am this like Black artist pushing boundaries whose work is being received in ways that it's never been received by Black women, and I'm showing up saying like, look, here I am. And this is the big and for me. And again, Jeff Bezos is the one who is welcoming
hosting it,
onto this stage. And people will say, yeah, but this is a fundraising event. It is. You know how much money they raised? A record-breaking $42 million. $42 million is amazing. Jeff Bezos hosted the event. $42 million to him is, I can't even explain how little money that is.
He could donate that himself and like still be obscenely wealthy.
He's worth almost $300 billion. Billion. And don't think that 42 million is like a big chunk of 300 billion. It's not. It is nothing. That is his equivalent of a Starbucks coffee. So yes, this event raised 42 million, and I think that's beautiful. I love that it did. But you can't be, to me, it's if you're showing up and you're claiming that you are somebody who is an artist, who cares about art, who cares about what the event's supposed to be about, and you're showing up saying, well, I'm being subversive because I wore a dollar bill, or even in the case of Amy Sherald, who I think is amazing, and I love how she looked. But to even accept the invitation, I think you have to really sit with that and question yourself. Are you really showing up as an artist in that moment? I find it hard to say yes.
Yeah.
Right? Like I find it hard to understand how people justified to themselves. I get why Anna Wintour's there. I get why a lot of the Kardashians, no surprise. But I do wonder with certain people like a Janelle Monáe, who I respect so deeply, why is Janelle Monáe there? And their clothing was amazing too. Like they really got the assignment, but that's not the point. Right? The point this year in particular was something much bigger. And I think in the current climate, which again has been bad and getting worse for 30 years, but right now with the person we have in office, gas prices where they are and the looming threat to our economy, which by all reasonable people does not look good, to show up at this event and tout the fact that you're helping to raise $42 million while the person hosting the event is worth $300 billion. I don't know. I find it really hard to sit with. And, you know, they obviously could. I don't know how they justified to themselves they did. I don't know.
Yeah.
One other thing too, just real quickly. Did you see all the Kardashians? The three and her, Kylie and Kendall. God, I hate that I know their fucking names. They all came wearing some version of basically shapewear,
Surprise.
Right? They all came wearing like corsets and to varying degrees of exposure. I know. I posted on Threads. It's almost like they are selling a line of shapewear.
Yeah.
It's so gross. Like, tell me where the art is in that. Like, art and commerce really colliding of like, I'm going to show up wearing this thing that I sell. I mean, it wasn't like they were wearing her
They
line.
weren't wearing Skims, but
it was a not at all subtle nod to shapewear on all of them. I'm like, oh, gross.
Yeah.
That's not art.
It's not. And so I think,
I obviously had thoughts about the Met Gala even. I mean, listen, the truth is, I think we've discovered that I have thoughts on everything.
Yeah. That's why we have the podcast.
Sure, of course. Anything else happening that you want to talk about?
I don't know. I'm just...
Ted Turner died, apparently.
I saw that. Jane Fonda's favorite ex. Yeah, the guy who invented cable TV. It's
I don't even remember what that is. We all cut the cord because we thought it was going to be cheaper, and now we're spending 10 times as much for all the services that we pay for. I think that's infuriating. And Stephon Diggs was cleared of assault, if you know who that is, football player. Cardi B, is that who he was with? I think he has a kid with Cardi B. Charged with assault. I don't know. I was just looking at some of the news stories to see if there's anything there. Blake Lively settled her lawsuit.
I saw she's actually not getting any money from that.
Her outfit at the Met Gala also received some criticism for not being very aligned with the
theme.
Yeah, which is pretty much what everybody says. So, well, yeah. I don't know. I don't have this is going to be like a short episode. We can just talk about the Met Gala. That's fine. I'm very angry about wealth disparity right now. So, I mean, here's what taking what we talked about with the Met and relating it to politics, what's coming up, something else to take note of for people. And I am not a Democrat. I haven't identified as a Democrat for a very long time. I'm a registered Democrat because I want to be able to vote in those primaries because sadly we live in basically a two-party system. So, you know, if I want to be able to participate and help shape who gets to be in the election,
you got to claim a side.
So I am a registered Democrat, but I don't identify as a Democrat and haven't since 2012, maybe even a little earlier than that, 2010. But I identify more as a socialist. So that is clear, you know, all of that to say, like, I don't have a particular stake in the Democrat machine other than I will vote for a comatose dog before I'll vote for Trump, right? So like, or any Republican, frankly, because they're all. So Graham Plattner, who is running in Maine for Senate, where Susan Collins is retiring finally, and she's been awful. Janet Mills was the party establishment candidate, and she has dropped out, basically clearing the way for Graham Plattner to become the Democratic nominee in Maine. And it's a very important Senate seat because that is a seat where could potentially switch from a Republican to a Democrat. And Graham Plattner's very interesting. Again, I don't have like a big stake in this. I'm not saying I'm a Graham Plattner fan. There's some real sticky stuff around him, around some tattoo that apparently he got 20 years ago that people say has some ties to like white supremacist groups. Like, I think his claims are either he didn't know or he's changed. That's pretty scary, all of that, right? So like there are definite issues here that worry me about him. The thing I wanted to say though, and why I think it's relevant to this discussion around wealth, is the reason I think he's doing so well, and something I think that the Democratic Party on the whole should really be paying attention to, is where Graham Plattner keeps showing up. And the thing that seems to be resonating, particularly in a state like Maine, which is like a don't tread on me, government stay out of our lives kind of a state. He is driving home nonstop about wealth disparity. He is talking constantly about how billionaires don't care about you, how, making it really drawing that line of that clear, like this other party is doing everything they can to protect these super wealthy people while you're not, you can barely survive. And just drawing that clear line between the haves and have-nots and the problems that that's creating. And people are listening. And I feel like that is part of what is at the core of what the Democratic Party has in that past been. And somewhere along the line got confused as being like elitist because educated people care about human rights. And so we're voting with that. And I think we should still be talking about human rights. So this is not me saying we shouldn't. But I think a lot of the like mainstream Democrat people have lost sight of also talking about wealth. And I think it's because so many of the Democrats are just as bad, right? They're benefiting from all these billionaires and can't talk about them. And that's a problem because the average American person responds to that because they feel it and they know it. And it is so important that I think Democrats should be doing more of that. And I think we all should. I think the more that we talk about the fact that this country is not like our systems are harming people at the basic level of can you afford to eat? That to me also speaks to so many of the quote unquote social issues, right? The human rights kind of issues that we care about. Those are all wrapped up in that same stuff. So I think we can talk about trans rights, and I obviously am like, let's talk about trans rights. But I think it's also, I think it's important to talk about how those things also relate to all these same economic issues that even if you're not trans, you understand acutely. I just think there's a thread there that we could be pulling better to help people understand why human rights are wealth disparity issues. Do you know
it's all interconnected. People they think about these issues as like separate, these siloed issues, but they're all connected. Like being able to earn a living wage where you can take care of yourself, your family, and not just survive, but like thrive. Right? Like I think people hear living wage and they think like the bare minimum. No, not like the bare minimum is the bare minimum. Like a living wage is an opportunity for you to like lead a life that is thriving, not just like surviving like week to week. And so like that's a human rights issue, right? Like that's because like if you can't afford to put food on your table, right? And you have kids, or even if you don't have kids, if you can't afford to put food on your table and you have to work multiple jobs, that's going to affect your health, right? Not just physically, but your mental health. It's going to affect like your relationships, right? It's going to affect where you can live, where you can afford to live, like what kind of food you can afford to buy. Like all of these things are interconnected. And people miss that so much. I think that's like the biggest frustration for me is like when people talk about issues as like separate and independent and miss the ways that they relate to each other. Like they're so like caught up in the details. They can't like pull back and see the bigger picture and say, oh, this is like the entirety. We're complex creatures and everything is connected within the way that we exist. And so it's just a symptom of that like binary thinking, like if it's either this or that, like it can't be both. And it's like, no, like all of those issues can affect one single person.
Yeah. I mean, federal minimum wage is still $7.25.
That's fucking insane.
Right? So talking about like bare minimum versus living wage. Bare minimum apparently is $7.25. That doesn't even buy you 2 gallons of gas right now. I mean, when I was making minimum wage out of high school, I could buy like 4 gallons or 5 gallons of gas with that. That's still not great, but that like you can't even buy 2 gallons of gas with minimum wage. How are you supposed to feed yourself, house yourself, clothe yourself, have health care? And I think that like, so just going back to like trans rights or any other issue, the truth is for most people, if they were able to make enough money to feed their families, clothe their families, have decent schools for their families, have health care that was reliable, covered things,
get what they need.
Again, that living wage, the other stuff becomes so much less important. The stuff that we all sort of get, like the identity, quote unquote, identity politics, because the reason that most people are angry is because they can't live a decent life.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to change whether somebody hates me, right? Like
Yeah.
me, like just using myself as a queer woman, like, okay, I'll never be able to I don't get to use policy to change whether someone hates me.
Yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
we can find ways to make people
Yeah.
change their hearts. But policy isn't going to be it, right? The
Yeah.
role of the government is not to change people's hearts, it's to change policies to protect people. And so the government, I don't expect it to change whether people like me for being queer, but I do expect it to protect me as a human citizen of this country to
Yeah.
make sure that I can pay my bill, have a home
Yeah.
that keeps me safe, that I can eat, that my kid has reliable education, that we all can get healthcare without going bankrupt, right? Like these bare minimum sorts of things. And if it does that, then whether my neighbor hates me or not becomes far less acute in my life because I'm safe and I'm cared for. And I also have resourcing and capacity to go somewhere else, or because I have healthcare that I can actually go get mental health care for myself. Like, I just think that we lose sight of what the government's job is, right? And the incredible importance that money does play in that space. And I do think when we start taking care of people, a funny thing happens. They commit less crimes, right? They like go on and become productive, quote unquote, citizens who get jobs and care for themselves. They have access to healthcare so that they're not, ending up pregnant when they don't want to be and have no way to not get pregnant.
They're better employees. They're better creatives because they have the mental and emotional capacity to do those things. Yeah.
All the quote unquote societal issues that people get pissed off about get solved when we say we need to take care of everyone. Again, not make everyone rich, make everyone whole.
Yeah.
If we could do that, all these other issues go away. And I just think we need more people who can speak about more politicians speaking in that language that then people understand, even if their hearts haven't been changed yet about some particular identity. Because again, I don't think ultimately it's the government's job to change their hearts.
No.
There are so many amazing organizations doing that work. I think pop culture plays a role in that. I think art plays a role in that.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the government is here to do structural things
for the people that it governs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's why we pay fucking taxes, except our money's going, overseas.
Right? So keep an eye on and again, I'm not advocating for Graham Plattner because I have a lot of concerns based on other things I've learned. But just look at this particular piece around this messaging of what he's doing and talking about with wealth. I think it would behoove so many of us to understand that languaging and how we start there. I think too often we start, and I'm speaking to myself because I, as somebody with, identity and at least an identity or two that are oppressed, I tend to want to start there. And I think it's a good reminder to me that sometimes it's helpful to start at a different place. I think if we address that thing, even though it, like right now, what might feel like the acute need to me is something else around my identity. The truth is, and I know this for me to be true, like if I weren't feeling the constant stress about things like healthcare and education and rent and food, feeding my family, I have more capacity to tend to my own needs around those other things and then to show up in a way that I think is just, it's easier for people to respond to. I don't know. My brain's all over the place with this, but money is such an important thing for us to be talking about. And the fact that we're not all on the street together revolting, like literally just in the streets, burning down these billionaires' mansions, like the fact that we aren't doing that really says something about control.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think what you said earlier about it being a two-way street, right? That we might need them in some ways, but they also need us. Like, I think the illusion is that they don't need us, right? That people buy into.
Jeff Bezos is not going into his warehouse and packaging goods and driving to your house. He fucking needs you. And Jeff Bezos needs you to order from him. Right? Like there are things, we have so many levers that we could pull. And it's not just Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg, every one of them, Elon Musk. I went down the street and saw 4 fucking Teslas in a row. And whatever, like it's fine. Maybe they were purchased before people knew Elon Musk was a crazy person. I've known he was a crazy person for more than
a long time. Yeah.
Anyway,
if you're paying attention, the signs are there.
Right. But like, okay, Elon Musk needs us to buy his cars. Like they all need us in so many ways. And we have levers that we can pull to push back, but we don't because I think we believe it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Especially because at an individual level, it feels like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. They need us as a collective.
Right.
Right. And it's hard to like get people on the same page.
And that's where and that's why I just keep coming back to it. I think if we talked more about money, that is the piece where everybody who's not in that 1% gets it. Right?
Yeah.
Like they all feel that issue. As much as I fucking hate money, I do feel like it is like a key issue that everyone can. Because when you talk to people about wealth disparity, there are always those people who I think still believe they're going to be a billionaire. So they will fight for billionaires against their own interests. Mind boggling. But I think there's more than enough to become a majority of people who do unite on, no, they have too much and we don't have enough. And that's not right.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. If you already aren't incredibly wealthy, like you're probably not going to become a billionaire. It would just, unless you like win the lottery or something, right? Like let's say the lottery's and even then, like what are the chances of that?
Exactly. I mean, you're going to get struck by lightning before you win $1 billion
Yeah.
lottery thing. I mean, it's so ridiculous, but we hold on. Like we believe the lie. I've been getting these email pitches. I get email pitches all the time from different things for podcasts and whatnot. But I've been getting a couple of times now where I just want to be like, you clearly don't know anything about, because these email pitches are like about some study that just came out about the top 10 universities that produce billionaires. And I just want to.
What?
Exactly. I want to just scream because I'm like, first of all, of course, there are universities like Harvard and Yale and shit, right? A lot of them. There are Ivy Leagues that you can't afford to go to unless you're already rich. 99% of the people there are already in the top.
Wealthy.
They may not be billionaires, but they're already in the top echelons of wealth. Also, we all know the amount of cronyism that goes on and people being able to get in because of legacies and, things like that. And yeah, if I could go to Harvard, I might be able to be rich. But like that doesn't mean anything in my life. Like it just doesn't speak to the reality of what wealth actually looks like. Where you went to college has very little to do with your wealth.
Yeah.
Other than your wealth probably got you to that college.
You in there, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, seriously? But the fact that they want to tout that tells me that they really think that there's a lot of average people out there going like, I'm going to make sure my kid applies to Harvard because, that's going to be the thing that's going to make our family suddenly wealthy.
Yeah, that'll be the tipping point.
All that money for application fees. You know how many people apply to Harvard every year who have no chance of making it? And there's an application fee for every damn one of those. So don't think they're not making money on that. And it's about their prestige because they can say how many people apply.
Yeah. Yeah. How many people they reject, right? That's where their prestige lies.
That's a sign of that's a positive sign for those universities. Yeah. We reject 90% of the people who apply. Like, I feel like that's just sad. Yeah. It's real sad that that's the case and that we don't have more options for people to go get advanced education. I'm angry today. That's what happens. I don't sleep enough. I get angry.
What's something that's not making you angry?
What's something that, let's see. What's something that's not making me angry? Well, okay. So I do have my little dashboard that I've built thanks to AI that has gamified things for me. And every time I go in there and I get to see a little confetti or I get a little cha-ching or a little, bloop sound or something, I get points. That makes me feel really good. And it gives me little dopamine hits. Like I'm creating dopamine hits for myself to keep me engaged with my work. So that makes me happy. And obviously my sweet, sweet, sweet baby makes me happy. He's just so darn sweet and so good. And yeah. So his teacher had us write, the parents of the kids in the class write, encouraging messages for them for this testing that they're doing, the state testing, which the fact that kids get the stress is really upsetting. I've had to remind him this test is measuring your teacher's ability to have taught you, right? It's a test. She wants you to do well because her livelihood depends on it.
Yeah.
Her job performance is based on how you do on this test and the school's performance.
Yeah.
They're very invested in you doing well for their own personal interests. Like you need to remember that you just need to do better to do as well as you can do. That is the only thing mom and dad are ever going to ask of you. Just do the best that you can do. Don't worry about what the stresses they're putting on you. That's about their stuff. I hate that they do that, that the kids end up feeling that pressure because of that. But one nice thing his teacher did do was have us write letters for the kids. So each day they get to go in and they have a little envelope that they haven't been able to see. They get to open up and read like some encouraging stuff. My husband wrote little riddles each day for them. And, we wrote really encouraging words about how much we love them and stuff. And this morning he was like, "What'd you write in today's?" And I'm like, "You'll just have to see. I don't
You have
know."
to see.
He was already looking forward to it and excited about it. And that was really
That's
lovely. It was a
sweet.
nice start the morning. I'm like, that was really smart of the teacher to do that, because he was feeling a lot of pressure. Then he took the test yesterday, the first day, and he was like, "It wasn't that bad." I'm like, "See, buddy, one of the things I've learned in life is the
Yeah.
things that we tend to worry about the most end up usually not being nearly as bad as we
Yeah.
thought." So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
That's
what's
sweet.
making you feel good these days? Because you've been dealing with physical stuff that also
Yeah.
causes mental exhaustion.
Yeah. 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 I had the flare up, and I also just kind of feel like there's like a lot of residual grief that's just kind of been like kicking my ass lately. Not in the like I don't feel like overly emotional, if that makes sense. I just kind of feel like stuck. But it's been great for my writing. So yeah, I've just been trying to channel it into writing some truly unhinged stuff.
Filthy.
Which no, like just dark, just like really dark.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's gotta be a great way to process a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That's been good. Like I've been enjoying that, but it's also it has me also just kind of like a little emotionally wrung out. So, but the garden is looking fantastic right now.
I love that.
The
Are you
garden
making
is looking fantastic. When we were out there a couple weeks ago, pruning and like putting down like fresh soil and things like that, I cut a bunch of little stems and brought them inside. And every time we go into the kitchen or the dining room, there are windows that face the back and you can just see like all the lily of the valley back there. I'm excited for this upcoming warmer weather and like being able to go out there and enjoy it.
I wanted to quickly say too, thank you to everyone who listens. I don't know why you do, because I sometimes like an episode like this, I'm like, boy, we're rambly, but hopefully there's something that you get out of this and you get some value. And it's just been really fun watching the slow and steady growth that we've been having with this podcast. We're coming up on 11,000 downloads, and
Almost our 100th episode in a few weeks.
almost. I think we only have like 2 more episodes. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then the YouTube channel just keeps creeping up, and every time we look, there's like a new follower on the different platforms, Spotify and Apple and YouTube, and it's just been really lovely watching like
Yeah.
what it looks like when you just keep showing up and like slow and steady growth. And it really is lovely, especially because this isn't really something we're monetizing, other than if you're a
No.
coach and want to join the coaches community we have, but that's a pretty limited market of the people who listen. So it's just something that we do because we like to have these conversations, but it really means something that people are listening. So I don't think we say it very often. I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Thank you. And thank you to you. This thing, it's like the center of my week.
We record on Wednesdays. It's kind of like right in the middle of the week, and it's
Yeah.
a nice check-in point. And I agree. Thank you. It's like every time I come to these conversations, most of the time I'm like, I don't know what we'll talk about. Somehow we manage to talk for 45 minutes. And I usually feel better leaving than when I come in. And that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
That was
Same.
why we started, I think. And it's been
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, that was a love fest. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to Messy Liberation.
Thank you so much for your support and for listening today.
Until next time.